as I've been making my way around the county, I tell everybody that even though I've been doing this, that is speaking in front of large groups of people, for over 25 years, this is a completely new experience for me. I've spent over a quarter of a century advocating, speaking on behalf of other people. And what I've had to get used to the last couple of weeks is speaking about myself. And I can tell you I am very uncomfortable doing it. But thank you, good afternoon, thank you, Ulster County. I want to give my deepest and sincerest thanks to Assemblyman Kevin Cahill and to Ulster County Executive Mike Hine for their kind words, and more importantly to me and my family over a longer period of time, their unconditional support. There are things written here by my campaign team that I'm going to weed out because I can't say everything about Kevin Cahill and Mike Hine that I want to, because the rules forbid me from doing so. But I will say that I think that we can all appreciate leaders who make their decisions based with thorough thought, with decency, and with compassion for the citizens that they represent. And so I thank Mike Hine and Kevin Cahill for being here today. How am I doing on the mic? I'm not used to speaking into a mic. I'm used to having to do this without it. We good? I'm Bryan Rounds, and I stand here before you today, proudly, but very humbly. And I am announcing my candidacy for Ulster County Court Judge. I truly believe that everything in my personal and my professional life has led me to run for this office and at this moment in time and in this place. I have constantly been reminded by my campaign team that a campaign speech is neither an opening statement nor a closing argument. And I'm going to try to be a little more brief than I am in the courtroom. I'm also going to warn my campaign team, and right about now they're going to start having a heart attack, that I can't read everything here word for word. I might stray once or twice.
I'll give it to you this time.
I was asked by my campaign team to look back over my life and look for a theme. And one of the themes that I found, looking back from the time I was a kid, is that I have a real disdain for bullies. Yeah. On the playground, if I got into a fight, and I often did, it actually wasn't usually about somebody bullying me or picking on me. It was usually because somebody was picking on somebody else that was weaker than them. And I would always stick my nose where it didn't belong. Shockingly, because God knows I wasn't physically the toughest guy on the playground, nor would I be throughout my life, but I did have certain skills, and I was given some amount of brain power. And what I did with it was, shockingly, is I became an advocate. And at a very early age, I had the weird idea that I was going to be a criminal lawyer, whereas most kids are talking about being astronauts or sports heroes. And so I went to college, and I went to law school. And I became a clerk in the Albany County District Attorney's Office, where I worked for about 3.5 years for free. And then I became an assistant district attorney, and there I prosecuted every type of felony case and every type of misdemeanor case that could possibly come before any county court judge. When I left the district attorney's office, I became a defense lawyer. and I defended and have since every type of criminal case that could possibly come before the Ulster County Court judge. I want to say in that regard that one of the reasons that I believe I'm qualified for the job is because I have demonstrated, and I believe it's not always easy for people to do this, that I could seamlessly make the transition from one role in the criminal justice system to the other. The day that I stopped being a prosecutor is the day that I stopped being a prosecutor, and I became a defense lawyer. And if I am lucky enough, with your help and your support, when I become an Ulster County Court judge, I will be neither prosecutor nor defense lawyer. I am honored to have so many friends and some colleagues in the room here today, and some of them have known me since my law clerk days. Supreme Court Judge Peter Lynch is here today, standing over here in the orange. I should say, newly elected State Supreme Court Judge. Judge Peter Lynch has known me since I was a law student clerking for other assistant district attorneys in Albany County. And he's here today along with his brother, Michael Lynch. They're twins. You can tell Michael has glasses, Peter doesn't. His brother Michael is on the Appellate Division 3rd Department. I cannot tell you how honored I am to see both of you standing here today. Thank you. There's another person in the room who's seated over here that none of you or most of you won't know, and her name is Cheryl Coleman. Cheryl, when I first met her, I was a clerk in the Albany County District Attorney's Office, and she was one of the finest homicide prosecutors in the history of Albany County. And she was a mentor to me. And when we left the district attorney's office together, we became defense lawyers the next day. And anybody who knows me and knows my career, again, knows that we made that transition seamlessly. Thank you, Cheryl, for being here. By the way, Cheryl went from being one of the finest homicide prosecutors in Albany County's history to one of the finest criminal defense lawyers in Albany County history, which is what she's still doing today if anybody wants to get her card on the way out. Most importantly is my wife, Alexis. Alexis is my law partner at Rounds and Rounds. But for the last 16 years married and 17 years plus, she has been my partner, my rock, my best friend in every single solitary sense of the word. And there is no way in hell, cold or otherwise, that I would be standing here today if it was not for that brilliant, amazing woman. We also have 3 children, and for personal reasons, and given the nature of the office, we have made the decision as a family that they would not be here today. But they are with us in a whole bunch of different ways that I won't talk about because it's personal. When I decided to run for Ulster County Court judge, I knew I wanted to run a different kind of campaign because, let's face it, you all know I'm going to be a different kind of judge. I made it very clear to my campaign team that even though I am a lifelong Democrat, registered as a Democrat since the time I could register to vote, and remain a Democrat and a proud Democrat and hold its core values, judicial races are supposed to be different. They're supposed to be more nonpartisan than other races. It is not lost upon me. I mean, when Mike Hine talks about a cold day in hell, let me explain to you just how cold he means. As near as we can tell, there hasn't been a Democrat elected to the Ulster County Court bench in over 100 years. That's a fact, nonpartisan or not. The only one that we know for sure, the last one that I can tell you for sure, and there may be others, but the last one that we know of for sure was during the Civil War, when we were the party of slavery. And that fact is not lost on me, but I made it very clear to my campaign team, and I make it clear to all of you here today, that one of the ways that I want our campaign to be different is that we will not decide who to talk to or who to listen to based solely on the letter that appears after their name on a voter registration roll. Yeah. Whether you have a D or a W or an R or an I or God forbid a C, or if you're non-enrolled. We have found already in this campaign, believe it or not, and I know it's hard to believe in this day and age, there are people of goodwill, of every political stripe, of every profession, and of every socioeconomic class who believe in fundamental fairness and equality and justice. And so the rule that a judicial race is supposed to be nonpartisan fits just well with me and the kind of campaign we're going to run. And I would suggest to everyone the kind of campaign that everyone should give some consideration to. You're used to seeing judicial candidates come before you and ask for your support, and you can be sure you're going to get a lot of that from me and my team. But I want to, at a fundamental level, instill a real respect for the court, a trust in the system that I have pledged my life to, as my wife, and a real faith in the human spirit. I've learned, and we've all learned, especially in these times, particularly in these times, that you can't fall asleep at the switch. Fairness and justice have to be fought for every single day, just like democracy itself. If you fall asleep at the switch, you will lose it. You'll lose American democracy, and you'll lose the American justice system. And the thing they say about the American justice system, as they do about democracy, it's the worst god-awful system ever created by mankind, except every other one. Some people are cynical today, and I understand the cynicism. Some people say that those things don't matter anymore. Fairness, justice, equality, decency, truth, facts, science. And to the extent that anyone is worried that they don't matter anymore, we're going to make it matter. We're going to make it matter starting today. I'm going to make it matter with your help. I believe it was Oliver Wendell Holmes who said in the context of a criminal case, let truth and falsehood grapple on the open field of battle. Whoever knew truth put to the worse in a fair and open encounter. I pledge to you that if I am the Ulster County Court judge, I will fight every day to make sure that those encounters are fair and open. When we think of a courtroom, most people in their everyday lives think of, did the person do it or not? And that's certainly part of the criminal justice system. But the vast majority of the time, what a county court judge deals with is not whether or not the person did it, but what do we do now? What should we do knowing that something has been done or that someone did it? And the answer should not always be so simple as it is often treated. It should depend on the facts and circumstances of the individual case. This is not meant to be a system under which every single person who does wrong gets thrown in prison, locked up, regardless of the scope and scale of the circumstances. It is very common for a judge to run and say, I am the law and order candidate. I am going to run because I believe in law and order. Folks, I believe in law and order. I've spent over the last quarter of a century of my life fighting for both, and I believe in both. Now, I can't tell you, because the rules prevent me from doing so, how I'll rule in any particular type of case. Some reference was made to that rule by Assemblyman Cahill. And a lot of candidates, and I know campaign managers, think that that restriction is a real pain. It's a real pain in the butt. I don't see it that way. I actually think that it's the whole point. Because to be a good judge means that you're not prejudging anything. It's where the word prejudice comes from. There's the type of prejudice that Dr. King, whose birthday we just celebrated recently, talked about. And then there's the type of prejudice that comes when you make up your mind about what should happen in a particular case before you know a damn thing about it. And I promise you that if I'm the Ulster County Court judge, I'll be the judge, and I'm not going to prejudge what should happen until I learn more about the case. Judges are given a vast amount of discretion. It's called judicial discretion. A judge is not a robot, nor should they be. And yes, of course, we want to protect the public from wrongdoing. And there are laws in place that need to be upheld to do that. But we also need to avoid a system that simply throws people away each and every single time that they make a mistake. It's not about telling you how I'll rule in a particular type of case. It's like Mike Schultes from Hurley said at a recent meeting I went to. But you're going to use every tool in the toolbox that's available to you, not the same hammer every single time. I'm asking to be elected to this position because I believe I can handle the job in a manner that you can all be proud of. I believe that the role of judge means that it's not supposed to be about me. The judgeship, the bench, is not a throne. The Ulster County Court judge is an extremely powerful position, and I seek that position freely. But I am not seeking the job so that I can put my thumb on the scale for one side or the other, but rather to be the center that balances the scales so that there can be fundamental fairness, decency, equality, so that there can be justice. I seek the position not for the sake of having power, but I do seek the power of the position for the sake of everyone. And I want to say this too. There are some folks here today who, for reasons that you could not possibly understand because you don't work in the system, are taking risks. By being here. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Bravery is not when you're not afraid of anything, as I tell my kids all the time. Bravery is when you're scared and you stand up and do the right thing anyway. Yeah. And there are a whole bunch of people who have reached out to me privately, who have given me their support, not just today and yesterday, but the day before that and in the weeks before this, who for various reasons, because of the rules of their job or the particular situation they're in, have reached out to me and told me how much they appreciate what I'm doing, and they've given me their support in the only ways that they can. And I want to speak to all of them and say this to them. To my friends out there who are prosecutors, who are defense lawyers, who are in law enforcement, some of them are here today, I'm fighting for you too. Not for one side or the other, but just so that there can be decency and fairness in the courtroom in Ulster County. If you believe in these things, then I simply ask you, please reach out to my campaign, support us in any way that you can, join us in making this a court that we can all be proud of. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all for coming today and braving the cold temperatures. For those who don't know me, my name is Carolyn Riggs. I have the great honor of serving as Bryan's campaign manager. Thank you. Due to judicial ethics campaign rules, you will probably hear from me and our campaign team more so in the logistics of the campaign than you will Bryan. So I wanted you to put a face to the name, to the email, to the ask, which I get to do. So if you would like to support our campaign, you can sign up to volunteer on the clipboards in the back. We also have contribution envelopes if you would be so kind to contribute to our campaign. We are in it for the long haul. We're excited you are all here. Thank you so much for taking the time. Please enjoy food and beverages and travel safely home. Thank you so much.